So in 2016, this young lady traveled across the country. She was working in Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign as a volunteer. And she traveled across the country in a car and visited places like Flint, Michigan, and the Standing Rock Indian Reservation in North Dakota. Now, do you know anything about Flint, Michigan?
I know the name,
All right.
but
But you know that they've been having a mighty struggle for years for clean water, to have
yeah,
clean water in their community. You know anything
yeah.
about Standing Rock?
Mm, I I know it, but I don't know anything like about it.
Okay. A few years ago, a big company tried to build a pipeline, an access pipeline. I think it was a gas access pipeline right
Hmm.
through their reservation in North Dakota.
Wow.
And they raised up and said, oh, no, you won't build that thing through our community that you gave us after you stole all of our land. Yeah, no, you're not going to do that.
Yeah.
So she visited those places, she talked to those people, and she became convinced that you didn't have to have money, power, and wealth to get elected to public office. It changed her thinking. Now, before that, she said, no, I don't think I would try to go that route because I ain't got no money and you need money to do stuff like that. Well, that trip changed her life.
Mm.
Now, her opportunity to take that trip came out of community service and a lot of connections. Now, I got to say that. You got to have some connections to get that high in a presidential campaign when you're relatively young and then
Yeah.
be able to travel the country like that and talk to all these people. When I read about her trip, I said, wow, I'm almost twice as old as she is. And I have never even thought of taking a trip like that and just going to see people and see them in their condition and talk to them about what they're trying to do to change it. Uh, I've never done it. I don't think
Yeah.
I've thought about doing anything like that. Okay, so my hat is already off to her. This is good stuff. So in 2019, she became the youngest woman to serve in the U.S. Congress. She was installed as a congresswoman at the age of, I'm thinking she was 28.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she was born in 1989. Yeah, and I'm purposely omitting the age on my little poster here because age ain't nothing but a number. I'd rather tell you that she was born in 1989 than put that under her picture because do you notice that she's not ugly? Let me go with that.
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you that that is the first thing people use to discredit her, which kind of annoys me, right? Because,
Really?
yeah, well, I'm married to a woman who's
Mm.
not ugly, and she has given me a child who's not ugly, who also looks like me. So I have trouble wrapping my mind around that sometimes. Like, oh man, my daughter is gorgeous. Oh God. But I have seen firsthand how at her current age, now she's 6 now, she rules
Mm.
the world when she walks into the room, when people
Mm.
see her. Now they will beat a hasty path past me. They don't even see me.
Mm. Mm.
And they get right in her face. And what I know is, as much as that works for her now, and will also work for her in the future, it will also start to work against her
Yeah.
because of this device in our society called hate.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's the noun form, but it becomes even more powerful in its verb form. Hating. Oh, when they start that hating.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, anyway, that's why I don't mention AOC's age in writing. I tell it to you. So she became a congresswoman in 2019 because in 2018 she had to win an election, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now she actually won 2 elections. Now in the first election, this is the primary election. This is where all the people who are running in all the different parties, they go against each other to try to become the nominee of their party. So she won the Democratic primary and was nominated by the Democratic Party.
Mm.
She defeated a high-ranking 10-term representative. Now, 10-term representative, when you're in Congress, you serve 2-year terms. So if he's
Mm.
running on his 10th term, how many years has he probably served already?
Like 20?
20. And if you've served 20 years in the U.S. Congress, you got some juice and you got some
Mm.
rank. So he has become a ranking official. I think he was the chairperson of the Democratic caucus. That's where all the Democrats in Congress get together in secret and combine on their mutual interest agendas and all that good stuff. They game plan and figure out what they're going to do during this next legislative session. He's the chair of that caucus. So not only is he long term, he's visible.
Mm.
And she beat him.
That's crazy.
And she beat him bad.
Mm.
But heaven, she had to beat him twice.
Ew.
Because he's high ranking and influential, he managed to get on the ballot even though he was not the Democratic nominee.
Wow.
He got nominated by these two parties. One's like the Party for Working Families. I don't remember it. It's not important. But the
Mm.
other one was a party that emphasizes the importance of equality for women.
Mm.
And I can't think of a bigger sham than, okay, you stand for equality for women, but you're going to endorse a male candidate who is doing nothing more than trying to buy his way onto the ballot. You're going to endorse him over the person representative of the group you say you stand for.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Oh, it makes dollars though. Trust me,
Yeah.
he bought his way onto that ballot. But I'm not hating because I hate haters. I'm not hating.
Mm.
So he spent a total of $2 million in his campaign. She spent $100,000 in her campaign.
Mm.
Now let's bring this all back to the Georgia standards for math education. By how much did he outspend her? Let's talk about this in a couple of different ways and then compare and contrast how we can talk about numbers in ways that will confuse people, but how we can talk about them in a slightly different way that might give them a little more understanding. So we're going to describe
Mhm.
in three different ways by how much he outspent her. First way is let's just use subtraction. Is that all right? Can we use subtraction in a math class today?
Mm, yes.
All right. So by subtraction, by how much did he outspend her?
Like 1.9 million.
$1.9 million. Not only did you give me the correct answer, I want to note for the studio audience, you use scientific notation, young lady. I saw what you did. I saw what you did. That's a lot of math here in this math class where we're talking about the world at large. Yes, we're still doing
Mm.
math. All right, so now let's talk about it as a ratio. Let's divide 2 million by 100,000 and come up with a ratio. How many times will 100,000 go into 2 million?
Uh.
Now don't worry, I
Um.
ain't gonna leave you hanging. I got my calculator. I just want you to see if you can do it in your head.
Uh. 20.
20. 20. Now what I hope you're doing as I listen to you solve that problem, I hope you're moving zeros.
Mm.
Because if you look at how I designed this, see, I'm very crafty in my design here. It's the engineer in me. See how I have the numbers lined up
Yeah.
so that you can match the zeros.
Mhm.
Now
Oh, I didn't notice.
well, that's why I'm here. I'm here to point these subtle things out. They're very intentional, but they're also very subtle. Yeah.
Mhm.
So because you have the zeros lined up, do you see how there are 5 zeros in both numbers that, for the most part, cancel each other?
Mhm.
And you are left with the numbers 20 and 1. And boy, I can divide 20 by 1 in my sleep.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's 20. Now, another subtlety here is it's one thing to know how to add, multiply, subtract, divide. It's one thing to know how to do these things, right?
Mhm.
It is very important to be able to do these things with numbers that have zeros.
Yeah.
Because when you're in the real world and you're talking about real money and big money, you've always rounded those numbers to have lots of zeros so that people who don't know anything about math can sound like they understand these numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So if you understand math, you can have an advantage in conversations like these because you can understand this math and do it on the fly and do it in your head. So
Yeah.
it is not trivial by any stretch to be able to divide 2 million by 100,000 and know that the answer is 20. So he
Mm-hmm.
outspent her by a 20-1 margin. That's one way we could say that, right? So we can say he outspent her by $1.9 million. That has an oomph to it. We can say that he outspent her by a 20-1 margin. That's got an oomph to some people. It may not have the same oomph to me. Now, I'm feeling $1.9 million. I can feel that.
Mm-hmm.
20-1, I don't know if I can feel that. Now, can you tell me the percentage represented by a ratio of 20-1?
No.
Okay, you will be able to do so in about 45 seconds. So if I have 1 and
Mm-hmm.
I double my 1 to 2, I have increased by a factor of 2.
Mm-hmm.
That 2 represents the number 200%. The number 1 represents 100%. The
Mm-hmm.
number 2 represents 200%. The number 10, or the ratio of 10-1, that represents 1,000%.
1,000%.
1,000%. So think about the number 1. Think about the number 1 and put 2 decimal places after the decimal point. Think of 1 as 1.00. Can you see that?
Yes.
All right. Now to express 1 as a percentage, you think about it as 1.00, and then you slide that decimal point 2 places to the right.
Oh, so 100.
Yeah, 1,
Oh.
a ratio of 1-1 is 100%.
Mm-hmm.
The ratio of 2-1 is 2.00. Slide that decimal 2 places to the right. 2.00 represents 200%.
Mm-hmm.
10.00 represents 1,000%. 20.00 represents 2,000%. Now, hopefully this brings it home. Now, what does percent mean? What does the word percent mean?
Like out of 100.
It means out of 100. So if you have the number 1.00 as a ratio, 1-1, that means you got 100 out of 100.
Mm-hmm.
That means you got all of it. That's why we think of that and describe it as 100%. You got all of it. You got them all right. Everything is there.
Mm-hmm.
Now the ratio 2-1, you think of that as having 200 out of 100. So if you got 200 out of 100, you got everything and then some. So now you got more than 100%. See that?
Yeah.
All right. And likewise, when you have 20 times as much, you've got now 2,000. You don't have 100 anymore. You got 2,000. So that's why we think of 20 as a ratio. We describe that as 2,000%.
Mm-hmm.
Now, none of this is in any of the 66 books of the Bible. Okay? These are not laws.
Yeah.
These are customs. These are methods of communication about numbers. So nobody's going to heaven, pun intended, nor that other place if you know or don't know these things. That doesn't determine anybody's fate in eternity. But
Yeah.
it does allow you to have conversations that are enhanced by numbers. And I'm here to tell you that numbers are a great way to enhance conversations
Yeah.
because they can describe things in details that you can see and feel.
Mhm.
They can. They can. All right. You still with me?
Yeah.
All this story right here. See, all these stories get me. Did I tell you what I use these stories to do the other
Uh.
day? It's part of a game that
Oh yeah.
I host, like Alex Trebek. I put on a suit and Alex Trebek. Forget Alex Trebek. I do it like Steve Harvey, without all the
Mhm.
mean spirited humor. Now, respect to Steve Harvey, but yeah, you're a little mean sometimes, Steve. So yeah, I put on my nice suit and pocket square, and I host this game show. Cause it ain't a game show, Heaven. It ain't a game at all.
Yeah.
It's a history lesson, but it's a history lesson delivered like a West African storyteller in ways that young people might give me an audience for, because the stories are really short, but boy, they pack a whole lot into each of these little stories. If you count the words in this story, I put myself on a word limit. The story won't go past 100 words,
Mhm.
and it won't go past one screen. But then I take a little time to unpack and emphasize the story that I'm telling. Because, see, I know there's a whole lot more to this person than these 100 words that I'm giving them. But this is
Yeah.
a device that I have created that allows me to speak to the millennials about
Mhm.
things that are of common interest to us both that we may not exactly know just yet. And when I bring this like a student and not like a teacher, I might mess around and learn something myself about how y'all respond to the story that I'm telling.
Yeah.
And all of them are powerfulness. I have written. I'm writing this as a show, like a straight up show. So one day,
Mm.
when you grown and when I'm grown, you may see this on TV,
Mhm.
or at least on a YouTube channel, because I have written one full season, and now I'm trying to figure out
You are.
how to take it where it needs to go. And I say that figuratively and literally. It is a very important ministry in Marietta to present this to certain people. So I said, well, you start with your classes. Now, I've been doing this in my class for 15 years and developing
Mhm.
techniques to make sure that when I get reported for not
Mhm.
teaching the curriculum,
Mm.
I am able to defend myself with evidence, because largely the evidence is going to be the screen that I have shared with you. That's going to be what somebody's going to take a picture of and send it to the powers that be and say, look at what he's teaching.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, what's wrong with this? Democrat, Democrat, Democrat. What place do
Mm.
politics have in a math class?
Yeah.
Well, don't they count the votes, Captain? Oh,
Right.
now you're trying to be smart. No, no, I'm trying to say, man, math is everywhere, dog. So if I am to teach a standard, do you dictate how I teach the standard, or do you present me with the standard and you hold me to the standard? If I can teach the standard, then let me teach the standard the way I teach the standard.
Yeah.
So yeah, to prepare for that conversation, I said, okay, well, this is what they will see. Then I need to make sure I can speak to what they see, tie it to math, and then apologize for trying to teach my students more than what you have told me to teach them.
Yeah.
Because you didn't ask me this, Heaven. But if you ask me how people control people, I would say, well, Heaven, I apologize for breaking it down like this, but may it remain forever broke. If you
Mm.
control what they learn, if you control what they pay attention to, and if
Mhm.
you control their pockets, you
Mhm.
will have them in check forever and ever. Amen.
Yep.
Forever. And nobody would be able to argue with me that the one way to control somebody's education is through this thing that we call standards.
Yeah.
You teach them this and nothing else. Okay, well, if I teach them this and nothing else, they're not going to know anything about themselves. And they're not going to know anything
Mhm.
about money. And it's almost like that's what you want. Oh my goodness.
Mhm.
Okay, Derek, don't you say that out loud. Don't you say that out loud. Okay, yeah, but that's what you want. Oh, that's how you control the education. I get it. I get it. You
Yeah.
allow everybody to have education, but you allow them to have the education that you want them to have. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You people are tricky. Oh, y'all are tricky.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all are tricky. But that is about as crafty as all get out. There
Mm.
ain't nobody saying you can't have education. Now. This is the education that you get to have.
Yeah.
Okay. I ain't saying you can't have a job. I'm just saying you probably gonna find it easier to work for me than to work for anybody else.
Mm.
And I want you to enjoy yourself, so go on and stay on Facebook all day and have arguments. I'm doing this devotional with my wife and some other folks from our church, and
Mm.
the verse we were studying today talked about sadness. Yeah, sadness. And I said,
Mm.
wow, you know what? I have always carried a little bit of sadness, even in this golden age of my life where I'm just as happy as I don't know what. I still have sadness about a lot of things. I have sadness about freedom and equality and equity. I have sadness about stuff like that. And
Mm.
I was on Facebook early this morning, which I don't know why I do it, but sometimes
Mm.
I want to go and see what my friends are up to. And it is always apparent that one thing that has emerged in society today is people argue about everything.
Yeah.
And that is a crafty way to create distractions, get people away
Mm-hmm.
from what's really going on. So, Evan, I was watching a highlight from a football game that I actually watched in real time, and I appreciate the highlights because they go back and show you all the best parts of the game. And it was two plays, one where the quarterback threw a 12-yard touchdown, and the receiver dove to catch it, and then he fell at the end.
Mm.
And when you're watching it in real time, it was athletic, it was beautiful. I happen to know the guy who threw the ball and the guy who caught the ball. The guy who threw the ball is probably going to be the first pick in the NFL draft. The guy
Mm.
who caught the ball is the grandson of a legendary college football coach. And that's probably the only reason why he is on this team. Because
Mm-hmm.
if I'm his coach, I probably don't play him as much as he plays.
Yeah.
But making that catch was the most athletic thing I have ever seen him do. And
Mm.
my heart skipped a beat when he jumped, caught that ball, fell down, held onto the ball. So as beautiful as all of that is, you know what the conversation was about?
Mm.
Whether or not the quarterback made a good throw. Because see,
Mm.
if he had made a good throw, the boy would be able to catch the ball and not fall.
Mm.
Then the argument became, well, you know, the boy has two left feet and he catches the ball with his fist. So for him to catch it at all, see, that's why he fell. See, if that had been number 88 instead of number 25, number 88 would just catch that ball and be standing up and taking
Mm.
pictures. And I'm reading this and I'm like, is this all we got to talk about? And I'm like, well, Derek, you the one that's on Facebook 3 o'clock in the morning. You the one. So then the other throw, the same quarterback who is 6'6",
Mm-hmm.
he throws a corner route to a receiver who is 5'9". I don't know if you're into football like that, but a corner route to a short guy from a
Mm.
tall quarterback, that's a very difficult throw. That's a very difficult throw because you are
Mm.
literally up high and you are throwing the ball at a 45-degree angle. Oh, there I go with the math again, right? You're basically throwing the ball at a 45-degree angle to a short dude and you're
Mm.
throwing it over the short dude's shoulders, so he has to catch the ball over his shoulders with his hands extended. It's a very difficult play.
Mm.
So the guy catches the ball, made it look easy, and he fell. So you know where the
Oh.
conversation goes from there. It was a 36
Mm.
yard game, beautiful play, momentum gaining play, and we go on to score a touchdown very quickly. But the conversation is, oh, hold up now, hold up. Wouldn't a better throw have gotten a touchdown?
Uh.
Well, wouldn't a taller receiver have gotten a touchdown?
Mm.
Like, come on, y'all.
Mm.
This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. But
Yeah.
I digress. I digress. So, how did you like AOC's story? Now, this has been my favorite one so far.
Um. It was pretty interesting that she did this like especially like at a young age, like you said, and the fact that she's a woman and was able to do this, it was very interesting.
Now you know her story gets even better. I just try to limit these to 15 minutes.
Mm.
Guess what her favorite subject was apparently when she was in high school?
What?
Science. You thought I was gonna say math, but science. Like she was heavy in the science, real heavy.
Oh wow.
Like she was so heavy. So Intel, the computer company that makes all the brains inside everybody's computer,
Mm.
Intel has a science fair every year that I have been trying to get my kids to enter for years. Very difficult to enter the contest because you going to school. When you gonna have time to do a science project and compete against kids from all over the world? And what would your project be on when you all you're doing is dissecting frog hearts and
Yeah.
turning on the Bunsen burner? Well, if you have folks teaching you who are into stuff like that, they can probably coach you up and get you ready for something like that. And you probably start long before the actual age of entering the contest. You probably start in the second or the third grade, getting you ready for something
Mm.
like that. So she
Wow.
went to a school that emphasized math and science. She entered this science fair, and in her category, which was microbiology, she came in second in the world.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, I get it, I get it. Because if you watch her in Congress when they have hearings and whatnot,
Mm.
people can't stand her.
I
Can't
can imagine.
can't stand her, and they got many reasons why they say are valid reasons that we can't stand her. But to my ear, they can't stand her the most because she is very smart. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, very smart. Like you can't get nothing by her, and she is what they call smart, smart, and she is street smart. She grew up in the Bronx. It's like she's smart, man. You can't get nothing by her, and whenever they try to, she calls them out on it, so they can't stand her.
Mm.
And now I get the full picture of why. I had my reasons and interests and guesses before, but now that I know about her science background, I said, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, I get it. I get it. You don't go for the okey doke or the smoke. You see through all of it and you call them
Yeah.
out and they don't like that. Oh, they don't like that. How you doing,
Mm.
Imani?
Hello?
Hey, how you doing?
Great.
You just gonna come to class early all the time now, ain't you?
I told you I don't remember what time it started.
All right, well, it's all good. Look, whenever you here, I'm glad to see you, and I get to remember you got three eyes in your first name. See, I be studying. Three eyes. Don't just give two. Those are three eyes. One at the beginning and two at the end.
PLC, they only have one.
No, it's on your screen name. It's spelled right on your screen name.
Yeah, 'cause I had to correct them to fix it.
All right. Oh, you talking about in Edgenuity or the other one?
Yes.
All right. But we try. I will tell you what though, we have done a better job this year than ever with the names because
Uh-huh.
I write a lot of scripts and whatnot, computer scripts to try to automate some of the stuff I have to do, some of the records I have to keep, and all of the scripts are based on your ID numbers, like your Aspen ID, your Edgenuity ID, and your name. And boy, when I run the scripts, I always get a report on who got different names in Edgenuity and Aspen, and it used to drive me crazy last year. I like just
Mm.
put the name in the same way it is in Aspen, because 10 times out of 9 they got it right in Aspen, because that's the official record of the school. But I digress.
Mm-hmm.
Why did I even start talking about that? Because we were talking about your name. That's all. That's all. So Heaven, if you good now, I can turn you loose, and we can reconvene next.
On,
Not tomorrow. Not tomorrow.
on
Yeah,
Monday.
it'll be Monday, and that'll be our last full week before fall break. Fall break will start
Mm.
on. Okay, tomorrow is the 18th. Monday is the 21st. Fall break will start on September 28th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm saying that out loud because we got to get classrooms set up. We got a lot of stuff to do, and we got one more full week to get all that right. Because I will not do it during fall break. Oh no, sir, no sir, no sir, no sir, no sir. So.
Yeah.
All right, so I digress. I was saying, if you good now, we can go ahead and sign off. Now, and Monty, you got something you want me to help you with? Because you can sign off too if you like, and I'll just go ahead and mark you present.
All right. Have a great day, Doctor.
Oh,
Oh, not Doctor. Coach Brown.
oh, you don't offend me by calling me that, man. I look, it actually compliments me, so thank you. But yeah, I'm just regular old coach slash Mister whatever. That's all.
Have a great day.
All right, you too.
Thank you.
All right.